2013 Ford Escape with the 2-liter EcoBoost engine. I'm just doing the right front lower control arm, so I just have it all out now. I just need to hammer down on the control arm to get the ball joint out of the steering knuckle. 2 bolts that go inside here. It doesn't have a fixed hex nut on the control arm itself, so I had to. There was a nut on top on where the subframe is. This is a 21, and the bottom has a bolt for the bottom has a bolt which is in 18, goes here, so you have to use a 21 wrench to hold these nuts. And then in the front here, there's the 2 10mm bolts for the bracket, for the which is part of, I believe, the subframe support or whatever. I was not able to get this out, so I left it alone. So in order to get the one of the bolts out from here, the 1 bolt, you have to use a large pry bar, as you are trying to fit an impact there. So you need to pry down on the pry bar in order to get this out, like this. You have to pry from behind and to push down to make room for the bolt to come through. You use a large pry bar. It's like this. A small pry bar is gonna make it a lot harder to do, so it's probably best to get a large pry bar like this. So now I have the control arm out, and it's pretty easy to take out. It was not that hard at all. So that's the old one, and this is the new one. I did have to use the induction heater to heat up the nut because it was seized. I used the mini ductor Venom HP to get it out, because you can't really use a torch on this, because you are going to damage the CV boot if you use a torch, so you have to be really careful. So before you get that control arm in, you gotta push up on the stabilizer bar bracket. Make sure that there's a gap in order to get this top piece in, because there's no way that it's going to go in unless you lift up on the stabilizer bar to get that gap, and it needs to go underneath, because those 2 bolts and nuts are also holding down the stabilizer bar. So in order to get the control arm in, you need to somehow to raise the stabilizer bar to lift it up, to use a pry bar, a long pry bar to lift the stabilizer bar up just enough to get enough clearance to get the control arm in the top piece of the control arm over here, this one over here. So because that top piece, it sits underneath the stabilizer bar on the stabilizer bushing. So right now I have a wrench on the nut, because I'm going to tighten up the bolts now over here. So these are 2 18s. I just I lined them up and got them in now. So I have this to support the rear control arm bushing to keep it straight. I also had to use a drift chisel or punch to line up the holes inside at the same time as I was trying to push on the stabilizer bar to line up the holes after you get the control arm in. So there are two 21 mil nuts on top that you have to manually to put in because they don't have a fixed nut on top. The bolt over here, I partially got it in for now, and so now I just need to zip everything in and to put the ball joint back in. So when you are tightening and loosening the nut, you want to place the big pry bar back here to push downwards, so you're able to get some room to get the bolt in and out. For these bolts here, you can just use like a stand or something to raise it up and support it, so you can get the bolts through. Just tighten it up and make sure everything is tight. I put some grease on the bolts so that they don't seize up in the future. So after you're done, just torque the pinch bolt to 61 foot-pounds and grease the fitting, and then you should be all good to go. Just make sure that you double check your work, everything is tight, and then you should be all good to go. Unfortunately, I don't have the torque specs for these at the moment, but I'll post the torque specs on the screen for you guys to see if you want to torque it. Also make sure that the bolts on top here are nice and tight. The 21 nuts and the 18 bolts that's underneath the stabilizer bar.